54, 55%, they're about 52, 54%. Okay. Meanwhile, average, that's average, like if you have to put everything like, yeah. Meanwhile, on some imported goods into Nigeria, there are taxes as high as 80, 90%. In some cases, you have to like pay almost the same thing. For example, cars, you have to pay almost the same thing that you paid for the car in clearing the car in Nigeria. Sure, you get. So what does this mean in the long run? Here is Jumoke Oduwole, who happened to be Tifnumbu's Minister for Trade and Industry, right? How are they reacting to it? Let's listen.
Honourable Minister, thank you very much for your time. Let's jump straight into it. The United States has placed a tariff of 14% on Nigerian exports. In comparison to other countries, we are not the hardest hit, but this is still considerable. This is still noticeable, and it is expected that there is going to be some form of a relatively negative impact on Nigerian exports, on Nigeria's ability to be internationally competitive when it comes to the official position of the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. What is your position? How are you feeling?
The U.S. is a long-term trading partner, strategic. Most of our exports to the U.S. is oil, and that's under the AGOA right now. So Nigeria is really in quite a good position. We have to also think about our second largest fertilizers, urea, lead. Those are businesses that have been growing in market share. This gives them uncertainty. This gives them a disruption to their operations. So we're working with those types of businesses. We're also looking at our MSMEs. They are not covered by AGOA. It's just about 2%. But for businesses that are US focused, this will be a disruption to their businesses. So we're also working with them to diversify. Nigerians export to over 250 countries. We're very much bullish about the AFCFTA and enabling our exporters to really take full operationalization of that agreement. So those are some of the strategies. Looking across the world as well, as you know, Mr. President has been working on generating investment from different countries across the world since May of 2023. And what that means is that a lot of G2G agreements, so we're working on a SEPA with UAE, we've been working on also with the US, the ambassador, we had a meeting just last week. So trade is a continuum. When you have announcements like this, they're really quite sensational. But for Nigeria, I would say that conservatively, we're in quite a good space. However, this disruption affects the entire world, the entire trading system. And therein lies the danger. We don't want the global economy to go into a recession. We don't want retaliation. You know, Africa is kind of insulated from global trade because we're just less than 5%, like about 3% of global trade. So the players that really dominate, we don't want that retaliation and then we end up being collateral damage or the unintended consequences. So that's really what the issue is and why it's making headline news.
I am glad that you've mentioned the distinction between retaliation and responding, because naturally Nigeria is your first priority. So when we're looking at Nigeria's ability to be internationally competitive in this way, what are your thoughts? And then if we look specifically at the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, do you think that implementation of this agreement has done the work it needed to do to prepare Africa, to prepare Nigeria for an eventuality like this? What are your feelings when it comes to this agreement and different types of collaborations with different international bodies when it comes to positioning Nigeria in the best possible way?
So the good thing is that we're responding, we're not reacting. This has been a priority area since I came into office, operationalizing the AFCFTA. You know that Mr. President has been commended as Digital Trade Champion. We've been pushing our export agenda. We hosted the Secretary General on the 16th of January. We were in Addis. At Davos, I was very bullish about this agenda. So we have had a plan under the 8-point agenda. Item 7, which is where this industry comes to play, speaks to accelerating diversification. So this is an area that we've been looking at for a long time, because this is what's going to help MSMEs. MSMEs are nearly 50% of Nigeria's GDP. And so we've looked at that demographic and we identified the AFCFTA because it speaks to women-led businesses, youth-led businesses. It speaks to informal sector formalizing it. It speaks to MSMEs and how they can attract foreign exchange by exporting across the continent. So we've identified it as an area that will
like that. She said Nigeria is not really competitive out there. So if the big countries should begin the retaliation, obviously, according to her, the smaller economies like that of Nigeria will suffer. So they are somehow hoping that, you know, somehow, America would review this tariff thing by Trump because there are some new businesses springing up in this same petroleum sector, like, you know, fertilizer, this and, you know, that stuff, right? So they are hoping that maybe America would switch and change, and then these businesses will not be affected. So they are hoping. Remember what they call the BRICS? Remember the time when Nigeria was invited to come and join them in BRICS? These countries who feels like America's dominance, right, has outlived its kind of like its relevance. So they wanted to start their own different economic bloc, the BRICS. I think it's pronounced as Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other countries who have joined them. So when Nigeria, we thought Nigeria was threatened, right? Never to join, because Nigeria always kind of joined all these bodies like non-allied members. You know, they'll be like non-allied member of this group. So some said, or obviously, like, you know, some of these African countries, some of them have already found their ways into the warm embrace of China, even though China is also pretty much up there with America on this tariff trade. So normal, right? You would think, which could have been a good thing, right? You would think maybe Kolu should go and see Trump. What do you think? So go and have a chat and be like, you know what? Back in the days, America used to have these preferential kind of like deals for developing countries, struggling countries. You know, America being the big brother. That is what Trump says no longer exists. All right? And it's a big stuff, even in America right now, because people believe that Americans are also being affected by this tariff war and all that, while others believe that in the long run, right? For those who know better, that the American suburbans and all that have become so desolate simply because jobs have been exported out of America, and then they will produce in outside America, cheap labor, cheap this and that, and then bring it back into America where premium were paid for it. So they now said that, well, maybe this will now bring back the jobs into America, and more Americans will have jobs, and they'll get better pays, like not cheap labor, and yeah, they can pay for an American-made product. This is the theory, in which so many others feel like, no, that's not right. Donald Trump is going to tank the world economy. So it's now more or less like, if the world economy should get tanked tomorrow, where would Nigeria be? Because let me tell you something. Currently, according to these rogues who have been borrowing, who will borrow money from just anything, anyone, both living and non-living thing, they are there with their beggarly bow, the Bambi Alabo, to borrow money. No real investor has come to Nigeria to actually start anything per se, not any real one. They can't tell you how many billions or so they've attracted to that place, how many jobs they've tried to create. Nothing. Here you get. So meanwhile, these guys, in their budget, in this 2025 budget, the budget their benchmark, because they were banking on the crude oil money, okay? So they said the benchmark for their budget was $75 per barrel. That was when a barrel of crude oil was still being sold for $86, $85. And this was just about a few months ago, right? So now, the benchmark means if the crude oil, barrel of crude oil is sold more than $75, the excess can be saved. right? But now, a liter of, I mean, sorry, I said a liter. A barrel of crude oil is being sold for $64 and I think 22 cents. So that is like $11 short what they benchmarked. And if that should continue, coupled with discouragement for those who are buying Nigerian crude oil from America, the major Nigerian exports. So Nigeria would have to look for a new buyer and possibly be like America, since the whole world is already like, be like America and start pumping your crude oil. Oh, wait, they can't. Because Nigeria doesn't even pump our own crude oil, right? They will tell you that they have allocation from the OPEC, right? Organization of the, so what do you call them again? OPEC. Yeah, OPEC. Organization of the Petroleum something Council. Oh, I've forgotten that. Anyway, OPEC gives them quota, right? Say, oh, you can only produce 1 million barrels a day. You can only produce 2 million barrels. You can only produce 5 million. America doesn't listen to them. From what I gathered, America produces whatever they feel like produces, because like it's, you know, crude oil in America is like having borehole at the back of your house. If you go to Texas, you see a lot of refineries like that, just like that. Or if you go to Houston, like Texas, yeah, you see them all over the place. So if for that reason, Nigeria crude oil is no longer being sold as at when due, or like I said, Nigeria can't just stand up and say, you know what, we're going to be producing 4 million barrels. Because now royalty Nigeria, they collect from crude oil. Nigeria is the only oil producing country in the world, right, that doesn't actually extract our own crude oil. Rather, they sold the oil blocks to different bidders and even to some of their own concubines, who would then resell the same oil rigs to the international oil companies, IOCs. International oil companies would then bring in their own equipment, go and look for this location, drill and drill and drill until it becomes like a proper rig where they can begin to explore crude oil. And then they will have to give Nigeria 45%. Saudi Arabia, they have the technology that they are extracting their own crude oil. Angola, they have their own technology. Oil producing countries, they have their different technologies to extract their own crude oil. The giant of Africa, the crippled giant of Africa, Nigeria, doesn't. So if Donald Trump continues with this stuff, it is beyond just the trade for those businesses from Nigeria that are going to, I don't know if there is any, or if there is any business in Nigeria that is targeting American markets. So you have this order to cross, which eventually will probably eat more into your own, profits, so to say. So if they now stop buying the crude oil and the money stop coming, and the price of crude oil keeps crashing, also recession that some of you think you've left, you haven't, per se, but I mean, right? So that's why I said the whole future is so blurry. And to those who are organizing or rehearsing for, how the people are going to take them out when they do enter body, as we love to say, right? Sowore and this team, take it back yesterday, they were on the streets. An highlight from what they did in Abuja is here. An highlight of what they did in Lagos is also here. But the highlight from Lagos is that of police officer being accused of stealing a protester's phone yesterday. Sowore said this is just it was just a rehearsal. That the real showdown is cooking, just like Ndume also said yesterday in Abuja. This.
That is where we are going. We are reaching you guys before. I agree now. We don't need this crisis. We are going to National Assembly. Follow us. Follow us. Can you listen to me? Can you follow us? Can you listen to me? Okay. Hey, wait now. We are hungry. You are aware. That's not our problem. Our problem is that you have no right to stand in the way of our march. It's our legitimate right to march. We are begging you people. There's no need to beg. You cannot beg somebody to abandon your right. We are the fighter. What you do is follow us. That's your job. You have been notified adequately that this is going to happen. Are you not aware that there's going to be a protest today? You are aware. Your IG said they know that there's a protest today. But if you are not aware, radio your organ now. Remember to tell them that we are going on a protest. Make organ okay, make us stand up. Love is done. Action! 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 Revolution! Revolution! We want to do something before we go. Revolution! 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 We want to do something before we go. Revolution! 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 We want to do something before we go. Revolution! 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 We want to do something before we go. Revolution! If we want to fight, we will not be listening to you now. You know we are fighters. No. Whose strength we get to say we can face with? No, it's not a matter of strength. Police no need strength to fight now. You just need intention, bad intention. We don't suffer. And we will talk our mind. Everything what happen for this country, we must talk our mind. Nobody go silence us. We get freedom of speech. We get right to free speech. But the IGP will not expire. Whether illegal, Ryan believes saying we use cybercrime act. They attack activists and journalists. How many years will they die for this country? How many years? Herdsmen they kill people. Bandits they kill people. Yes. Terrorists they kidnap people. Yes. They know they catch them. Yes. But anybody who touch them with they hungry, they will catch them. Anybody who touch them with they suffer, they will catch them. How long will they suffer? They keep in silence. Egbetoku must go. 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 Must go. Take it back. Action. Take it back. Action. Take it back. Action. Action. We dey go. We dey go. We dey tire. Let me tell someone why not. Una don't wind us tire. Una don't wind us tire. Una don't wind us. Una don't wind us. They don't wind us. Must go. Must go. Must go. Must go. Must go. Who mobilized them? Who mobilized them? Who mobilized them? Me, my person is coming. It's our country. Must go. Must go. IDP must go.
What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that?
We are not scared of them. We are ready. This is our country. We are the citizens of our country.